In this video, I'm going to show you one of our most fundamental fields that is used when controlling stock and inventory, and that's our cross-block data manipulation field. So I'm going to create a new section. No, I'll just put it in this module. We put it in this new section here. We're going to say add module, and I'm going to create simple inventory. We'll create a block called livestock list. And we'll create one called add to stock. So what we're going to do is just create a very basic example of adding and subtracting stock. So I'm just going to use a normal text field. We'll just say item name, and we'll say quantity, and this is in our livestock list. So I'm going to say part 1, or well, we'll do more like a part number. Part 001, we'll say there's 10. Part 002, we'll say there's 14. Part 003, and we'll say there's 20. And now I'm going to show you our cross-block data manipulation field. First, I have this block called add to stock, and I'm going to create the same fields again. They don't have to be the same name, but there's no harm. Item name, I would say quantity to add. And what we're going to do is use this block to update the values in our livestock. And we do that using the cross-block data manipulation field. So the first thing we'll do is give it a name. We'll just say add to stock. Next thing we're going to do is say what's the block that we're going to update. It's the livestock list. And the next thing we're going to say is, well, what are we trying to manipulate here? Are we trying to add a new record, update a record with a new value, delete a record, add a numeric value, or subtract a numeric value, or multiply or divide? So basically, we're manipulating data in the other block using one of these options. Unless it's adding a new record where we're not actually manipulating data, we're just adding a record to a different block. But in this case, we're actually adding to numeric value in a record. So choose when the action happens. We'll say when the form submits. So there's two options. One is you can do it with a click of a button, and the other is when the form submits. And I'm going to say when the form submits. What data would you like to affect? So the idea of this is if we have multiple of the same item that we're going to update, we want to add numeric value to all of them, which isn't usually the case when doing stock. So we're just going to say the most recent entry. Sometimes you don't have an entry in the other block, so we're trying to find which one we're going to update, and there is none. And we can say, well, then create a new one if it doesn't update. So the next part here is a few different options. So we have to figure out what item are we looking to update, what part number we'll say. And we do that by matching the local field, which in this case is item name, with the item name from the other block. So that's basically our search. The next one is we select the local and remote matching fields for updating. So what do we actually, this is the search for it. So we need to find the item name based on the item name in this block. This one, we actually are saying, well, what are we updating? We're updating the quantity. So we're updating the quantity from live stock list with quantity to add value, which we have in this block. And then for creating a new record, what are the fields that we're populating? In this case, we're populating item name with item name and quantity to add with quantity. So this is just creating a new record in the event that there's no record to update and we have this option ticked. So now we're set up so that when this form submits, it will update values in the other form. So I'm going to open the two in two different tabs. So we'll open up the live stock list. And now I'm back to add to stock. So the first thing I'll do is, let's say we'll add 5 to part 001. So part 001, 5. That's the field. We can actually hide that visually as well, but it'll still work. And when I press submit, we can see this is just a record of the values in this block. We can also see, yes, there was one entry updated in the live stock list. So when I go back to live stock list and refresh, we can now see that part 001 is 15. Let's add 6 to part 002. Let's go back here and refresh, and we should be gone from 14 to 20. And finally, we'll just do a new one, part 004, so we don't have that record here. And we'll say there's 10 of them. Press submit. As you can see, one new entry created in the live stock list. When I refresh here, and we see part 004. That is fundamentally how the cross-block data manipulator works. So let's make things a small bit fancier. I'm going to change the name of this field to quantity to edit, okay? Because we're going to now not just add, but we might subtract as well. And then I'm also going to, I'm going to create a buttons here, multi-button called add or subtract. Add, subtract. So, bring that up just for neatness. So for adding to stock, I'm going to edit this field and I'm going to use our conditions. All conditions must be met, or any condition must be met. What we're going to say here is, well, we only want to actually apply this adding to stock when a certain condition is met. In this case, the condition is add or subtract must be equal to add. This can also be numeric. But now what we're saying is only apply this cross-block data manipulation when the field called add or subtract is equal to add. So now let's have a go. So let's say we're going to add 7 to part 003. And I'll click add. And when I refresh in the other one, we can now see 7, so it's 27. And let's do it one more time, but this time we're going to say subtract. Now we've nothing set up for subtract yet, so nothing's going to happen. So when I press submit, and we see we've no response, which is correct because we decided, well, we're not actually going to do it this time. So now when I refresh, this should still be at 27 because the condition wasn't met. So it required that add or subtract has to equal add. So now let's do one for subtract. So you can build things pretty fast in Blockworks. You don't have to rebuild entire fields, and you do this by duplicating. So if you hover over the field and click duplicate, and now we have an exact replica of the field we just created. I'm going to give it a name called subtract stock. Now currently this will add the stock, which we don't want, so we're going to edit this. Subtract from numeric value in a record. Okay. We'll untick that. There are also options to remove the record if the value becomes 0 or if it becomes below 0. And everything else is still fine. We're updating and we're finding the same values. And this one is, we're saying, no, don't do this when we add. We're saying when add or subtract is equal to subtract, that's when we're going to subtract the value. So now we have two different cross-block data manipulator fields. One is to add and the other is to subtract. So now let's try the same part again. I'm going to take 5 from part 003. This time I'll press subtract and I refresh and we should be down to 22. There we are. And I'll just do the same again, part 003, and I'll add 4, submit, and we should be up to 26. And there we have it. We have the two main features in a cross-block data manipulation, which is adding and subtracting from stock. There are other ones here. We can multiply by stock, we can divide by stock, and you can just create records and you can delete records. We will cover them in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.